Alors, bonsoir tout le monde, bienvenue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Standing Committee on Strategies and Public Policies. As always, it's a meeting where no decisions are made. Rather, it's an information session where we have the opportunity, or the staff has the opportunity, or local organizations have the opportunity to make presentations, give us some information, to put in requests sometimes. So that's it. So meetings, this one as the others, are broadcast live on the internet for our great public tonight, and we wish you all a great welcome. So without further ado, first presentation. It's a overview of the Imaginaire Festival 2017. So, Madame Maillet, Gabrielle Maillet. So, good evening. I'm here to present an overview of the Festival Imaginaire. The festival was held from Thursday 27th to Sunday 30th of July, 3.5 days. The main sites were at Dover Park, place 1604 at the Arts and Cultural Center, and with our partner at the Hotel Wingate. The activities that took place, obviously there were kites, so acrobatic kites, inflatables, and one-lines. There was the circus, the night flight, and community zones with spectacles, games for children, inflatables for children, etc., etc. We had approximately 5,500 visitors over the 3.5 days, which is very good. That's at the Dover Park site only. Our most popular days were the Saturday and Sunday. We had 50 kite flyers from different countries. The countries represented were obviously Canada, the United States, Haiti, Colombia, Argentina, Nepal, Great Britain, and Germany. Circus Stella, our local partner for the circus, had 28 performers from New-Brunswick and Quebec. And even though we're kind of tight in the time and the planning, we had approximately 20 volunteers who worked an average of 28 hours for the whole duration of the festival, which represents an impressive 560 hours of volunteering. So there were quite a few people in the kitchen. So concerning the activities that we want to repeat, obviously, we have Bimana, which is a very diversified troupe from Colombia. Their specialty is that they have lighted marionettes, something that we don't have here. And they have also solar balls that can fly very high in the sky. And they don't need wind, they just need heat. So that's perfect for when there's no wind. Dover Park site is a good place for kites because of its elevation, and usually there's quite a lot of wind. Stella Circus also said that even if the site is not really leveled, it's pretty wide and it's perfect for mobile circus and for playing with children. The night flight, which is very popular and it's the busiest evening, is probably something that is most popular of the festival. I know that for me, that was the case. We had a twinning of the circus spectacle with Bimana. Then we had the kites in the sky. So that was, as far as the show is concerned, was really special. We had great comments. Very nice show. The kite creation workshops were very popular. As a matter of fact, we had to go get some more material during the festival because more youth participated than we anticipated. Entrance fee, $2 per person, very affordable for a family. Even it's an activity. I mean, you can stay on site for a fairly long time. Comments from people was that they really enjoyed it. They paid and then they could participate in all activities. There were no extra costs involved. That was much appreciated. And it's not written in the list, but the gourmet barbecue workshop was sold out. As a matter of fact, we were asked to have more than one workshop for next year, and that was presented in partnership with Wingate. And then two other little things, the marketing and visibility. We had some people do some things at the Dieppe market. We gave out some kites. That means that some of the children came to the site with their kites. So that was something good marketing-wise for us. And then we were invited to Parley Beach for a pre-festival flight. That was very popular with the kite flyers because they usually don't have the permission to fly their kites on the beach. And people came to say, hey, we're on holidays, we're at the beach, we saw the kites, it wasn't that nice a day, so we decided to go to the festival. So visibility-wise, that was really good. Now, concerning activities to be re-evaluated, we had 2 evenings which were tastings, and that was not as successful. Ticket sale-wise, it was right in the middle of the summer, so people find that maybe inside activities are not what they're looking for, so we have to reassess that. Then there was Dieppe Électronique, which was an evening of electronic music. There was little or less participation. That was at the Place 1604, so maybe people prefer having one specific central site. Having different sites, obviously, logistically speaking, for the organizing committee creates a little difficulty, so maybe it also creates confusion with the participants. It's always easier to sell our stuff if there's just one site. And then the community zone, to extend the hours, we had comments on the Dover site. They liked the music at the community zone, but it was finished at 5 p.m., so they would have liked to see maybe more music, longer hours, music programming on specific Dover Park site. Here is the budget. So as you can see, it's a very positive budget. The sale for the entrance was very good. Sponsors was very good. We went beyond what we were expecting. And then the vendors on site also went beyond what we had planned. So we had a real revenue of $142,854. Expenses, $153,371, which gives us a deficit of $10,517. There were some unexpected expenses. Like I said earlier, the ticket sales for the 2 evenings at Wingate, the barbecue evening was good, but we would like to see more participants, so it was disappointing. We had tents that we had to rent. They're part of our equipment here at the leisure department. Some of them had been damaged prior to the festival, about a week prior to that, so we had to purchase some or rent some. And then the entrance on Amiro Street, in order to have the, we had to rent a generator. So, and then we had to rent cable mats to send the lines or the cables to the windows. So, as you can see, the expenses are close to $10,000, the unexpected expenses. So, for 2018, we're looking at, once again, from Thursday to Sunday, the 26th to the 29th of July. It had been decided that it would always be the last weekend of July. We think that there's always nice weather. So in 2017, it was perfect, so we expect it to be the same for 2018. The circus aspect will be more showcased. We're working very well with Stella Circus and the Festival du Cycle, so that they give us and then programming will be announced in spring 2018. A festival of this size is not organized by 2 or 3 people, as you know. So we have many thanks to present, especially Ligne au Ciel, which is the local club that helped us a lot with the logistics, with the equipment, and especially contacts with kite flyers around the world, Ligne au Ciel being the kite club. Obviously, local kite flyers were represented more than 50% of all the kite flyers, but it's a good representation. Circus Stella, anything that concerns circus is they do, and it's really great to have a partner like that. A lot of thanks, a lot of congratulations from the kite flyers and the people from the circus, but it's up to us to thank all these people for their professionalism. They believed in our vision, they believed in what we were doing, and they were with us. We had 11 sponsors: Unique Corporation, MVS Radio, BMW Mini Cooper, Dr. Martin, orthodontist, Hotel Wingate, Roadway Systems, Party Perfect, MacArthur's Paving, Pizza Delight, and Coastal Inn Hotel. And finally, thanks to our volunteers. Without their generosity, their time, a festival like this one couldn't have happened, and certainly wouldn't have been the success that it was. Questions, comments? Questions, comments, ladies and gentlemen. Madame Arsenault, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned that half of the kite flyers were local flyers. The others came from where? Well, international and Canadian. Well, from what countries? Well, I gave you a list earlier: Canada, Germany, Nepal, Colombia, Great Britain, Argentina, Germany, Haiti, and Great Britain. It's a very nice representation. Yes, well, Canada is well representative on the in the world for kite flying. We're recognized, even our kite flyers, the local ones. Congratulations to them. They do really well. They fly their kites with professionals around the world, so we're lucky for that. So congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brideau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the same subject, do you anticipate next year that you'll have, you can invite more kite flyers just to make it a little bit bigger? Programming-wise, for 2018, it's the circus's opportunity to have the lights shown on. But we've had a first meeting with Ligne au Ciel, the kite club here, to see who we could invite. But like I said, as far as Canada is concerned, we represent very well. I mean, there'll always be a kite show in Dieppe during the festival, no matter what. Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate you for this successful festival. And when we look at the budget, the revenue, the expenses, you had unexpected expenses for $20,000, and you have a deficit of $10,000. It's excellent. So I hope that next year If you have fewer unexpected expenses, it should be even better. Yeah, let's hope so. So congratulations. Thank you. Monsieur Alain. Thank you. 3 questions, first of all. Having different sites to be reassessed, yeah, it was not just 2 sites. We had more than 2. We had the Place 604, Dover, the Art Center, the Hotel Wingate. So maybe it's having more partners who could give us a hand in the organization of those activities, because you need a lot of time for that. The main team that organizes this, I mean, we're very busy on site, and sometimes to go from one site to the other one, it was difficult, caused problems with the schedule. But we'll have fewer last-minute things. It'll be our 2nd year, so we should be better at it. When we look at the Kite Festival, Imaginaire, people who participated in the kite flying, you said 5,500. So entrance fees was 4,000. That's 2,000 people, 3,000 people, and we ended up with 5,500. Was that comparable to the previous years? Yeah, it was comparable to previous years. If we look at the statistics, we're in line. I was just looking at what occurred or what happened over the last 2 years. I mean, the weather plays an important part, and over the last year for the International Kite Festival, they were really unlucky because of the weather. They had something that we didn't have, the big shows of the 15th of August, because the schedule changed. So obviously our figures are lower than theirs because we didn't have that. But if we consider the mega spectacles, mega show, then we're online. Infrastructure at the Dover Park. Was there more infrastructure? Electricity, for example. Would that help you with main electrical house? Yeah, well, we wouldn't have had to rent a generator, which cost us $3,735. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? If not, we're going to thank Madame Maillet for her presentation, but also for her work. It hasn't been easy for a first year. Things, like you said, should maybe be a little simpler. I mean, with the focus of on kites flying 1 year and then on the circus for the following year, alternating, that should be good. I know that our friends from the city of Dieppe in Normandy had a big tent circus, because yes, they have a circus school. I know that at one time maybe we had thought of twinning something with Montreal and their school of circus. I don't know how serious that is, if things are moving forward with the people. Well, we're discussing with Circus Stella. There are some of our members who practice or who study at the La Tohu, which is one of the schools. So we're in discussions with them. Good. So if my questions don't bring other questions forth, then I thank you very much and have a good evening. Thank you for your time. Second participation, second presentation. Our friends from the International Airport, Romeo Leblanc, the Greater Moncton Airport, which is, as we know, which is strategically situated in Dieppe. So, Monsieur Bernard Leblanc and his team. As a matter of fact, from the get-go, I'd like to thank our 2 directors, thank them for their involvement. I think their terms are coming to end. Roland Colette, Maurice Richard, I think there were 9-year terms. just make sure, before I forget it, on behalf of the council, I thank you for your contribution, your great contribution to the airport and to its success. And then in the same manner, Mr. Chris Pelchik, who is also ending a term as a chair. I don't know if it's been related. No, Chris is still good for a year, so you're going to have to endure him one more year, right?
Report, but everywhere else in our community, really appreciate it.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le maire. Oui.
Thank you very much. Now, the councillors, I just, you took the words out of my mouth, so I don't have anything to say anymore. I wanted to present Roland and Maurice and Chris, and yes, they're important contributors to the airport. It's been 9 years that they've been around, and that's the maximum term that they can have. Maurice is in charge of our audit committee, so we're planning the transition for somebody new. Next year, Roland is in charge of our environmental committee, so he works with Dieppe, and then Chris is basically in charge of the executive committee. So it's just to give you an idea of our different committees. And what we wanted to do tonight, we're planning our budget for next year. Things that we decided in our strategic plan are not changed, but it's something that we'll be reassessing in 2018 too. So to give you an idea of what our strategic plan is today, what you're going to be seeing in the next couple of months with our lease, we have to make a master plan, and we start that in fall. So we're going to be doing that in the next 6 months. We got get the input from the community and the citizens around the area. So it gives us the opportunity to get involved in this because our strategic plan is something that's for 20 years hence, what we're going to do with the terminals, the increase in the traffic, revenue generating. What we've developed in 2015, we developed, first of all, something on the freight side, fairly important investment. So we want to continue to do that. And the best way to develop this is to have the good partners to do that. So our efforts concentrate on that. I would say that over the last 2 years, we have a little less interest for international flights, but it's something that we can concentrate on because it's above and beyond what we've done on freight and cargo. The other side of the strategic plan is on the side of passengers. Things are going well with seasonal flights. The new carriers, Air Canada, WestJet, and Porter, there have been changes. For example, WestJet today, they have 3 flights a day towards Toronto. They only had 1 prior to that, and that helps us to attract business passengers. But revenue means we have less revenue. So we have positive and negative. One of the important changes last year is that there was a low-cost carrier that was called New Leaf. They had started in July. What was good with that is that it didn't affect the volume of the other airlines. So it gave us 2,000 more passengers a month. So it was something very positive. Passengers who didn't fly as much, they came from outside. We had customers who were coming from Cape Breton from here to take flights because it was less expensive. So it was very positive. It didn't really work financially for them, but it's something that maybe we want to look into long term, try to attract something like that because it gives us more options. Today there's WestJet and another company, Canada Jet Lines, that's looking into developing something like this. So it's something we'd like to look into seriously. This is an example with New Leaf. We saw a growth when, during the time they were with us. They ended their service in April. The other service that they had was in Halifax, which ended in October. So they're no longer they're no longer present east of Hamilton. It was something positive for our figures because at the end of July or June, there was a good increase in percentages. But it's something that we'd like to do. I think it was 4.2 increase. 4.2% increase. The number of passengers against this year, while New Leaf was with us, there was a lot of growth. It went down during the summer months, so we expect that we're going to be ending the year on line with last year. No growth, really. There's a little more competition. Porter is established in St. John and in Fredericton, so that affects us. Aside from that, airlines in congestion in Toronto, it's a little difficult to have more flights, so we see that, and there's not that much growth on there. So the only influence that we have is try to attract a service where we can get the service. And then the third aspect of our strategic plan is with the community type of session that we have tonight. Connect with you, people of the community. Try to attract the community to the airport. There was the 20th anniversary of the airport, which was well supported by the city of Dieppe. And it's something that we're trying to do more and more. There are opportunities to work together, and it's something that we like to do. This week we have at least we have to have a community session to find out if there are any comments, for example, on the noise or on the traffic around the airport. So we have a consultation committee for that. And it's something that we have to do according to our lease. It's something we want to do because we want to attract people to the airport. We want people to support. We want people to believe that there's an advantage in having an airport in the area. We're finalizing these. These are our budgets. So last year we're meeting our executive committee on the 10th of November. So the things that we're looking for next year is to reinvest in infrastructure. We're lucky that we don't have any big buildings to build or structures. But for example, resurfacing our landing strips, it's $7 million, and that's planned for 2019. It's that type of thing that we're going to be doing over the next couple of years. We have to rebuild our aprons. So over the next 2 years, we're looking at maybe up to $20 million in investment. It's not anything bigger. It's not an expansion or anything like that. It's just to make sure that the airport is kept properly maintained. That's part of our mandate. So on that side, we don't anticipate too much investment. Aside from that, it's really basically to attract more people in our region to continue the flights. Now, concerning the flights, we're progressing slightly, and we're trying to have a direct line to Newfoundland. We've been working on it for a couple of years. There's a little bit of an interest for a seasonal flight to France. It's something that we've had already, and we're trying to basically make people aware of the benefits of having something like that. So basically, those are the important things that where we see that there's potential. And with other airlines, we'd like to have a second airline to Montreal. Right now, there's just one going to Montreal. So we'd like a little more competition, competitiveness. And also, we'd have to we like to have a low cost airline that would also be more competitive. It's difficult these days to attract something towards the United States, but that's something that we have to do, but we have to find somebody who's interested. So basically, that's the overview I wanted to give you, an idea of what we're working on these days, opportunities. So if you have any comments, any suggestions, that's what we're here for. All right, thank you. The door is open to questions. Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two short questions. You talk about 12 direct flights towards 6 destinations. At what frequency? Our seasonal flights start, I believe they start on the 1st of February and they go to the 2nd week of May. Usually it's one flight a week. And really starting mid-February to mid-May, that's when we have the maximum flights. We've lost a flight this year, a line. WestJet had a direct line to Cancun on Saturday, which was perfect, but they've changed the equipment to give us frequency. Well, it means that we've lost that flight. So we have more frequency, shorter flights, so we don't have that one flight to Cancun. Another question, New Leaf. They ceased their operations in April. Yeah, what they did was there was a little bit of a financial difficulty, but what they've done, they sold to their creditors. The airline that was doing it was Flair, bought New Leaf. The new name was Flair. They're still flying, but their focus is more on the western part of Canada. They're not anywhere east of Hamilton. Thank you, Mr. Alain. Thank you, Monsieur Leblanc. Are things okay? Yeah, 3 members of council. We can ask questions. Perfect. 2 short questions. I really like the tagline, economy for the airport. Like I mentioned it a couple of times, I think the airport is a gem for economic development for the region. My question is there something that we can do as a community representative with the federal government to help you? I know that there's money lately, programs for little airports. Can we have our share of the pie in that sense? Are there developments for example, adjacent land around the airport, better partners? Is there something that we can do? Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 things that are going on, but you mentioned the federal government. They talked about financial support for smaller airports, safety projects, that side. The only problem is that they cut airports to 600,000 passengers, and we're at 657,000. So we had discussions because it's just for airports on federal lands, and if you look at between 600,000 and 1 million passengers, it's just us and Thunder Bay. So we're kind of in a dead zone, and we're trying to convince them that they should maybe raise the bar a little bit. So we're going to be talking about our local federal representative, because it's something today, 600,000, 657,000, I mean, it's basically the same numbers. So, and we're then at a disadvantage. And if we need, for example, to buy a fire truck, it costs us almost $200,000. So with that program, the truck would be paid for. It's not something that we'd have to pay for if we were part of that. That's one aspect. On the federal side, they're talking about maybe dissociate themselves from airports on federal land. We don't have the information as to what they want to do. Is something going to be happening with the bigger airports? On our side, basically our model is working really well, so we don't see any changes forthcoming. Maybe changes if we have to own the land long term, if they're on federal land. So those 2 aspects. Another thing, they came out with a natural Trades and Quarters Fund. It's a federal program that we can apply to. We've submitted an application, and it's related to the expansion of our landing strips around the terminal to have maybe a little more space for cargo planes. So it's a second step. There would be a possibility of having 50% funded. It's a $3 million project. So on the government side, those are basically the three things that we're participating in. Second question. I want to ask you the question on St. John's flight to the United States. I think that your priority with a second line to Montreal, that's bang on. That's something that it's not easy. I think you have 3 flights to Montreal, 5 per day, and then it's going to be 4. So is there something for the United States, something that you foresee, maybe another continental or something? The United States is complicated these days, and frankly, the province is trying to develop this with the airports in New-Brunswick, trying to get funding, but there was no interest in the United States Airlines. Canadian Airlines, little interest, not much. What they're looking for as an incentive was more expensive than we can afford, and more expensive than what the federal or the provincial government can afford. So the market has to change. American Airlines were more present in Canada. Things have changed. Canadians are less important. They don't have enough pilots to fly all those lines. So it can change, but it's going to take a little more time to find the proper partner. Our American friends, all they have to do is buy more Bombardier planes. That would solve that problem. Anybody else in council? I have one question. Something that we could add maybe to, in order to get more federal support. In 2021, International Francophonie Games, we're going to have 34,000 participants. So maybe it's a major event at the international level. It will be certainly more than one heads of state, or more than a few international heads of states. So maybe it's something that could be used as leverage. It could be considered in the projections, maybe a little bit of a bait for the federal government. Yeah, we're meeting once again with the team of the International Francophonie Games. We've started our discussions with them, with Marc and his team. We have a lot of interaction with them, and I know that we're going to really be involved with them in one way or another, for sure. All right, great. If there are no more questions, we thank you for your presence, and once again, we thank you specifically for your involvement since 2012. Dieppe should become the Mississauga of Moncton. It has nothing to do with the mayor who was, the mayor who was there until she was 92. Great, thank you very much. Yeah, I specifically said it had nothing to do with the fact that the mayor stayed till she was 92. Last item, Governance Committee for Kodiak Transpo, Mr. Godet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a meeting lately during which we discussed the budget, development. It'll probably be unveiled or announced. Our promotion campaign was launched. You can see the signs, the publicity panels on the at the stops for citizens, for a little bit of a promotion for public transport this summer. We we're missing some drivers. So we had to go outside of Kodiak for drivers to make sure that we had enough, and it worked well. Now, since then, there have been a couple of hirings. We have 6 new drivers, 5 of whom are totally bilingual. And the 6th is at level 1 basic. Kodiak is in the process of recruiting 5 or 6 more drivers, and they will be respecting the linguistic requirements. It was very difficult to recruit drivers because of the unions. There have been changes. We can guarantee now a minimum of 30 hours a week. So due to that, since then, there have been almost 150 applications that came in over the last 3-4 weeks. Performance-wise of the transportation network, revenue in Dieppe are growing. They've gone beyond the projections by 10%. Compared to less than 2% in Moncton. So we're doing pretty good with our increase of the ridership. Global ridership for Kodiak is down, though they're up in Dieppe, so they counteract the lack elsewhere. So we have our new buses in a couple of weeks are going to be ready with the logo on it, and they will have the colors that we will have chosen. There are new technological projects. We're improving Wi-Fi to have a better service. We're adding also cameras inside and outside. There's been a request to have better service on video. We're working towards having intelligent card boxes for payment. We also have agreements with students. They're going to be using the smart cards. And they're going to be purchasing those cards during the winter. Budget has been respected. There have been approximately $240,000 in savings for the Kodiak budget. For 2018, the budget, there's an increase of expenses of approximately 2%, and this is due to the agreements with the unions and other expenses, electricity, insurance, etc. We have to remind people that Dieppe has received its new buses. The oldest one, that is from 2011, will be sold off. We'll be having 4 buses now instead of 3, and they're new buses. It'll be a savings. And we're basically making sure that our fleet is more accessible, and we'll be unveiling the results of that later on. And that's it. Thank you for questions for Councillor Godet on public transport. Nothing. As a general comment, I would say that it's interesting to see the progress in our community, and I'm convinced that members of council who will continue to encourage this increase in ridership by their own ridership with Kodiak. No other questions? Nothing? No other items? So it's the end of the evening. Good evening to all, and see you next time.